Hey everyone, Metal Dragon here with a fix video for 99 to 2003-ish and Jeep Grand Cherokee and Durango window regulators. I've built a part in a CAD program to replace the little plastic piece here that likes to break. I have two versions of them. This one right here is one I printed on my home 3D printer. It's PC Max. Material is PC Max, so that's like one of the toughest materials you can get right now, at least affordably. Polycarbonate would also be good, but that's quite a bit more expensive. This is supposed to use polycarbonate and a blend of some other stuff. It's much cheaper, so it's good. I'm planning to release this model on Thingiverse, and I'll put a link in the description so you can download it and 3D print it. I had one break on me that I had already replaced, and this is PET Plus. The material is just not strong enough. It lasted roughly 6 months, but I don't really use the rear windows, and this is a rear window regulator. And as you see, it failed. Just the material is not strong enough. I've been using another PET Plus one, another PC Max one in my front window, which I use quite a bit more often, and it's been there for like 6 months, and there hasn't been any failure yet, so it looks like this is a good material to use. Now, it won't last as long. I mean, it'll last quite a while, probably more than a new one, and obviously this is dirt cheap. I made one I put it on Shapeways, which I'll also put in the link, or a link in the descriptions, which uses a nylon and an SLS process rather than an FFF, which is what this is, which is your typical hobbyist 3D printing type or material, or print method, I should say. And it should last much longer than even a new one because the plastic is a stronger nylon. And I actually changed the design a little bit to move it up, just to give it a little more reinforcement. I might redesign this piece just to make it even stronger, depending on what people ask. If this is a demand at all, which I would imagine it is, because I mean, we're talking $7 to replace one of these, so you could replace all four and be good for. I replaced mine with the 3D printed ones, not of this, but of the Shapeways ones, and I mean, it's been 7 years and I haven't had a break. So the motors obviously are lasting a lot longer than the plastic pieces, so this is a huge upgrade even if they're not broken, just because it's gonna last longer. So, and I was going to suggest, or one of the things you can do, so this is one that I got from a window regulator that wasn't broken, as you can see, but yeah, it's not broken. Okay, so what you can do, so I saw somebody else, you can use a Dremel, you can use two sockets, one bigger, one little, and press it out with a vise, or you can put it in a vise and use, this is actually a really nice method, and basically you just chop off the bottom part and probably just tap it out, or a combination thereof. Yeah, but let me see here. So once you get it out though, then you might have to Dremel, which I had to do before, and knock off the edges, or the little tabs that come up. For this design here that you can 3D print, it doesn't allow for it. The other one is designed to go around it, but I think on some of them I still ended up doing it. And from the Jeep to the Grand Cherokee, from front to rear, I think some of them are slightly different. I think because I used to have a Jeep that also had this issue, and that's where I originally came up with the design. But the Shapeways one should fit most without having to use a Dremel or need a Dremel, but you might have to make a slight change. So there's other methods you could use to grind down the material, like a file. That would take a while, but I mean, you could use that, or I don't know. I'm sure there's other ways. As far as getting the window regulators out, there are plenty of videos out on that. The biggest thing, once your window is broken, once you see it that it's not going up or down, typically it'll just kind of keep sagging down. Don't keep using the motor. Don't keep trying to roll it up and down, because what's going to happen is it spools in there, in this thing, and essentially it'll bind up. And it's only a little plastic spool in there, so it's going to damage it. So the more you damage it, the harder it's going to be to repair. And I mean, if it damages it too much, you're probably just going to have to get another one. Let's see, so yeah, you take those 3 screws off. It comes off of the motor there, the plastic piece, and then you'll have the thing. So sometimes it gets bound in there because it overlaps the cables when it's broken like that, because it doesn't have the tension it needs. So it'll be hard to get out. I've never had one to the point break to the point where you couldn't get it out. It just, some take quite a bit of force, and usually they're repairable. But it'll be a lot easier on you. It'll save you a lot of time if you don't roll it. Keep trying to roll it up and down because it's broken. So you can usually hear it kind of trying to go up and down, and it's just not doing anything. So at that point, just leave it, and when you get time, put a plastic bag, something over it, over the window, so you don't get water in there. You know, put it in the garage, whatever you can do. So you can also get an assortment of cotter pins at Home Depot or wherever. Some stores probably would be better than others. It might have more of a selection. I don't know the exact size, and this isn't the one I used for the Shapeways one. But I ended up having to drill it out, and at least I guess for either method, it's okay just to get a better fit, and the 3D printing typically doesn't leave, not necessarily a smooth surface, but it would be more durable if you drilled it, because it would be better. It should have more structural integrity. So anyway, yeah, so this is the cotter pin with it in there. Obviously it's side to side. The other one I have is also up and down and side to side. I think for some of them, it doesn't really matter which way you use, because I've got 3D printed ones that go both ways actually. Not like this, but the ones from Shapeways. Like I said, Shapeways makes a much stronger, or they have a much stronger material. They use SLS, which is a much stronger method of binding the layers. So it is superior, but obviously it costs more too. So yeah, there's your pros and cons to that. So anyway, so you'll take this cotter pin out, which obviously you won't have a cotter pin in there, but you get your new piece right here, which just fits through. Like I said, you want to drill it to size, and then put your cotter pin, make sure it works before you put it in there. And then you can just put it in, splay the cotter pin, and then you're ready to put it back on the track. Here's the 3D printed part made by Shapeways. It's going to be much stronger. I'm going to go ahead and reinforce this where you put the cotter pin to make it a little stronger. So as you can see here, it actually is made to fit over these, except this one here with the extra sheet of sheet metal, or layer of sheet metal, it doesn't fit right. So I can revise it, but you know, then it doesn't work for everyone, because this is the first one I've run into that needed it cut out for that. So the easiest thing to do would be to use something like a carbide bit, like one of these, which I've used in the past. It works great with I mean, you can use a drill, cordless drill, or I mean, a regular drill would work too, or an air tool that'll spin a little faster to make it a little easier. Or you've got your Dremel here, and I've got one with the Easy Lock cutting kit. So, and you've got bits in there for cutting metal. Another thing is I might make another, or one of these that could be printable. It would probably be better if I just did it through Shapeways, just because layer bonding would be very important. Well, I guess you could print it this way. So I might make it for both too. Also, this piece is going to be free to download. This piece and the other window regulator piece for download if you want to try and 3D print it yourself. What I've had happen on one of them is this plastic piece on the back broke, and so obviously this was out. There's a hole in it. It doesn't go all the way through, but you can drill it out, and then you can put a screw in with a washer, and I mean, that's basically makes it good again. So you don't need another one. I have yet to see another one fail. other people have had issues, so I don't know specifically what else is breaking. There's a little tab piece, but again, I haven't seen any other pieces break. I can make one though, just for anybody else, because I'm sure there's other various reasons these would break. Here's the new one installed. I forgot to mention, but you can put them in. There's no up or down, so but you do want to make sure you put it on the side where the track goes. Otherwise, it'll be backwards or inside out. I don't know. But anyway, so you do that. So this cotter pin is actually a little larger than I like to use. But like I said, you can kind of get away with a lot of different sizes. I ended up drilling it out to an 1/8 inch, which was a little bit big, but 7/64 was it was a little bit more of a tight fit than I wanted. But there is not really any wiggle room. I've never had these, like, I don't really hear them vibrating or anything, so there's going to be tension on them from the window, so you shouldn't really have an issue with vibration. Let's see. Oh, another thing is the material that you use. So like I said, this is PC Max. ABS probably won't work. PLA definitely won't work because of the low glass transition temperature of PLA, and ABS is just a weaker material. Let's see. So like I said, I used PET Plus, which is like PET G, and that's the one that broke. So that one would work, but not very long. You'd be doing this again in probably about 6 months. I think that's roughly how long it lasted for me. Actually, it was a little longer, but I don't use those windows very much. So let's see. I'm trying to think of what other materials. Alloy 910 by Tolman would be probably okay, because that's another high strength one. So the motors are going to be brushed DC motors, which you've got the life of the brushes until it stops working. So, but I've had this. I mean, this is an 01. It's still working. I mean, some of the motors I use more than others, but I haven't had an issue. So the motor seems to be pretty good. So not really an issue. Haven't ran into one yet. Obviously, the more you use it, the more you wear the brushes. So keep that in mind. But if you want to do it yourself, like I said, make sure you get a stronger material if you don't already. The other ones just won't work. Or they won't work for long. They'll probably work to start with, but yeah. And the worst, what you don't want to have happen is have it break when you're going on a trip or somewhere where you're going to have to park your car, which might not be the safest of areas, and you have something of value in there, or just your car itself. So it's just things to take into consideration. Like I said, I'm also going to sell these on the Shapeways site if you either don't feel like doing it or don't have the capability and you just want to fix your car. It'd be good preventative maintenance to change all 4 of them, but if you want, you can just change the one or that has broken on you, or 2. I've had a couple of them break before, like around the same time. Here's the plastic spool part. Let me focus here. As you see here, there's a little slack in it. I stopped it early. I haven't tried to get it out yet, but essentially that's, as you can see, that's kind of how it binds. It gets loose in there and they'll overlap, and there's not very much room in there. Alright, so here it is. So it was a little bound in there. It was kind of hard to get out. I took a screwdriver, a flathead, and you just got to be mindful and pry carefully so you don't damage it. As you can see, if I get to focus, so those little edges there they're just plastic lips, so if you run it with the broken cable because there's slack in it, they'll overlap, and I've had those damaged before, so that's the big thing you're looking for. And also with the screwdriver, you want to make sure not to damage those. And that's like the cable I was talking about, or the one row that doesn't have anything. So on the one side, you'll have it to where you see no empty cable slots, and underneath it, obviously, there will be the one not used. So, and then when you put it back in, obviously it goes. Oh, also the cable, obviously 2 separate cables are going through here. So you have one there and one there that gets positioned and wound on this. So, and this is, let's see, yeah, so this is where the motor goes, and which is in that side. So that's going to go down like that. Here it is, fully reinstalled and adjusted. Also to note, those cables cross, we didn't catch that earlier. And you just put the plastic things back in. You have that, and you have the ends, and then you're ready to actually put it on the regulator. That's where you're gonna screw for it. Oh, I'm sorry. You're gonna put this back on the motor right there, and then you're ready to put it onto the actual regulator. Alright, so now the window regulator is back, or ready to be connected to the motor with the cables, and so the window regulator is going to sit like this. The two holes are where the window mounts, and then those two mount bolts plus one up there. So you just want to make sure, okay, so if it's going to be sitting this way, you basically want to match it up, and then to see which one is going to go up, over, and around. So as you see, this top one's going to go up, and then you connect them, and then we're going to go ahead and slide it onto the track. Alright, so here we go. The window regulator is back on, and I think I misspoke before, and it might be different for the front and the backs, but it's also been a while since I did this. But the window regulator, the one with the two bolts goes to the top, and that's the top pulley, and then the other nylon gear goes on the bottom. Also, with the spool, doesn't matter if you think you didn't move it after it broke, it needs to always be pulled off. I've never had one that didn't have a bind up of some kind, so you don't want to risk ruining it and basically doing all this work putting it in just to have it not work. So always take this off and check it out. Also, when you put it in and you're checking it before you roll up and down the window, or before you put everything back together, roll it up and down all the way a couple times, and that'll pull any slack out of this that there might be, because there will be some. And that has to do with these springs here putting tension on the cables, and that helps pull the slack out. Alright, so here it is built up. I think I was actually wrong also about where this bottom cable connector or thing goes, guide goes. So I said originally that it went into that one that said about a 45-degree angle, but I mean there would just be too much tension. I'm gonna try it out and see if it works or not, but yeah, it was rough just getting in that. Obviously you see the springs are fairly compressed there. One thing you can do when you are putting the cable on, so do it like this. You still want to do the half circle, so I put the half circle in, and then I put the cable over it. You can kind of pull up on this, which will take slack or compress this spring, and then you just kind of pull on it and try and get it in there. You want to get this bolt first lined up and in there, and then up here, this is for the track. There's this one will come through, because those are both the ones that stay on the track when it comes out. Then you put the third one in. It's a placeholder, just to keep it locked in. And you have these two plus that, or these two that slide in. Then you have that one that holds it in place, and then you can hook up the window motor. And again, because we put it about midway, as you see here, I slid the motor down. It's not all the way, or the regulator is about halfway. The window just needs to come down a little more, line up with that, and you can put the clips in. I should be able to get both of them from here. And I've seen other videos where they tell you to take out the glass. You don't need to take out the glass. So you want to push it up and maybe put something in there to hold it up. But all the ones I've done, you can leave the glass in there. Front, back, Durango or Jeep Grand Cherokee. Like I said, this could work for other models, makes and models. Let's see. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just going to put these clips in, and then I'm going to go try it out, fully extend it, go up and down with it, make sure everything works, and I'm going to put the cover and stuff back on, and that's it. So, and that's how you fix it. As you can see there, there's a little 3D printed piece, there's the cotter pin in the back, but yeah, it works.